Morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Chris. This Friday, we are live from sunny Central Florida, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Amazon FBA news and opinion and all the things that are related to selling and reselling on Amazon, and update you guys on what's been happening. So, if this is your first time here, welcome. Do me a huge solid and smash the like button for the respective algorithms. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and several groups, and let us know you're here. I'll also tell you a little bit about what we do. Is we go through the news and happenings of the week, but then we also answer any questions you may have. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comments, and we'll get to it at the end. So Myra, what's going on? Maria, good morning. Tycoon, what is up? Good to see a few folks popping in here, a couple of friendly faces. Let's go ahead and dive in. But first, coffee. All right. Hey, Kevin. So I thought we'd start with a fun little story this morning. And you guys may have heard, but Jeff is stepping down as CEO of Amazon on July the 5th. Now, not too long after that, on July 20th, Jeff is actually going to space. So I thought it would be fun to break down exactly how his space launch is planned, because it's kind of interesting. He's not really going into orbit. He's going to be in a suborbital launch, and he's going to be up there for about 11 minutes. So what happens is on July 20th, which this is crazy to me. I don't know. As someone who was worth that much money, I'm not really sure I'd be incredibly comfortable doing this, but I do applaud the intestinal fortitude it must take to do this. So he will launch, and they're going to go up for about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And then his capsule will detach from the rocket. The rocket then will come down and land. And the capsule will then go above what's called the Kármán line. And that's where they'll be weightless. They'll be in space. They'll be up there for a few minutes. And then they will start coming down. And they have a bunch of chutes that will deploy. And then they will hopefully land at about 12 minutes after they were launched off the face of the earth. There is an article on CNN that gives you kind of gives you an image of what the plan is. It's really very interesting. And this is exactly how anybody who decides to buy a ticket in the future will be able to take these kind of rides on Blue Origins, which is Jeff Bezos's rocket. So it should be really interesting. I'm sure that it's going to be televised. I'm sure that we'll all be checking it out. And it should be really, really fascinating. Let's see here. Driss, what's going on? Crystal, sorry, I missed a couple of you guys. Daryl, what is up? All right. Next up, something that I found fascinating, which is not necessarily Amazon based, but is Netflix based. And I thought that they made a really, really good move. But they've opened up an e-commerce site, or they're launching an e-commerce site, so that they themselves can sell show-related merchandise like anime hoodies and even a $60 Lupin throw pillow. But they'll be offering things from all sorts of Netflix shows. There's necklaces, hoodies, kendama toys, a lot of anime-related things, Stranger Things. All the popular shows are going to have some merch that people can buy. Now, it doesn't say whether or not they're going to be foregoing future licensing of these items, because you can get Funko Pops and things like that, and I'm sure they're going to keep those kind of things in place. However, being able to control that customer and keeping them on a Netflix-owned property, I think, is a really, really good idea, especially if they are having those items made themselves rather than licensing them out to someone else. But I haven't gone and even checked out the site yet or seen if it's up and running, but I did think it was really, really fascinating. Now, let's talk a little bit about Amazon. There is a rumor, and I do want to say this is a rumor. That's all. Okay, so I cannot guarantee that this is factual. However, I like a little bit of gossip over coffee as much as the next girl. So there are some restock rumors that are persisting that the U.S. restock limits should get a little bit better for sellers around mid-July. Now, this is just a rumor. It is said that it comes from a solid source, but I do like the rumor mill a little bit. It would be really fascinating if this happens. It would be great for sellers, and it would be perfect timing because we've got Q3 and Q4 on the horizon. Now, an interesting fact that I came across, and a matter of fact, I actually broke this down the other day while I was writing it for my email. But in 2020, Amazon Prime Day drove $10.4 billion in sales. Now that was great. It was like a 40-some% increase over the previous year. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that. So the numbers are on Prime Day of 2020, 175 million items were sold to consumers during the 48-hour sale. 3.5 billion of those sales were made by third-party sellers over that 48-hour period. So if we break that down a little bit, 60,763 items were sold per minute during the 48-hour sales event, or $3.61 million were spent per minute. So hopefully the odds are in your favor this Prime Day. And based on some of the other news I've got for you, I would imagine that Prime Day this year will either be just as big or bigger than it was in 2020. Next up, the National Retail Federation decided to revise its forecast for the rest of the year. They had come out with a number earlier about retail sales, and it was somewhere in the $4 trillion range. But they've decided to update that forecast this past week to somewhere between a total of 4.4 trillion and 4.56 trillion, which is up from 4.02 trillion in 2020. Now, you do need to know that the National Retail Federation numbers, they exclude automobiles, gas stations, and restaurants. They also expect non-store and online sales, which are included in the total figure, to grow between 18 and 23% this year, ranging anywhere from 1.09 trillion to 1.13 trillion, because everything is really going online and going the way of e-commerce. So this is good news. Now, in other news, which is good for Amazon sellers, Visa also released something they call their U.S. Spending Momentum Index. This report shows that the U.S. recovery remains on solid ground. The Spending Momentum Index remained historically elevated in May at 123.3. Although exceptionally low, spending momentum index readings at this point in 2020 are kind of messing with the actual picture of consumer spending. The current level implies that 59% of consumers are spending more than they did a year ago, although that's really not hard because if you are going out in public, and you may not have been doing so last June, it's fairly easy to do. But it also says 41% are spending the same or less. So hopefully that trend continues to be the case through the rest of the year. There is a little bit of a reminder. I have touched on this previously, but starting on July 1st, the great states of Florida and Kansas are finally joining Marketplace Facilitator. So what this means is that the orders that are placed and they go to Florida or Kansas, Amazon will now collect and remit those sales taxes on your behalf. Now, here's the thing. You still are probably going to need to report to the state. Okay, so make sure to talk to your CPA, talk to your accountant, talk to your bookkeeper, whoever handles this for you, and make sure that you know exactly what needs to be done to stay in compliance with either Florida or Kansas if you're in those states, or if you report sales tax to those states currently. And lastly, Amazon has put one of their policies up in smoke. Amazon has announced that it supports the federal legalization of marijuana, and they're revising their policy on testing for pot on pre-employment drug screenings. Pot is now going to be treated the same as alcohol. So if you like to hotbox or partake in the devil's lettuce and you want to get a job at Amazon, you don't have to worry about that keeping you from actually being able to become employed there any longer. So probably good news. I'm not someone who thinks that should keep someone from getting a job. So, all right. Hey, Chris, a couple other people came in there. Good to see you guys. If anybody has any questions, we've got a couple of minutes. This was a nice short coffee with Chris to come back to. And we'll start doing this every Friday again, going over the news and happenings of the week. Of course, if you have questions, please drop them below. And do me a huge solid and hit the like button for the respective algorithms. It helps get a few more eyeballs on this and gets this out to just a couple of more people. Hopefully they will enjoy it as well. So if we don't have any questions, then we will wrap it up, and we'll be back next Friday. Maria, I missed having coffee with you guys too. I'll be back next Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll do this all over again, and you are more than welcome to bring questions then. So have a great week, everybody. Be kind to each other, stay safe, and wash your hands. And I will see you guys next Friday for Coffee with Chris. Have a great weekend, everybody.